Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am here with a book haul for you today. I haven't done one of these in a while because I haven't really been buying a lot of books lately. The main reason for that is mostly that I've been trying to read the books that I already have, but I have been picking up some things here and there, sort of like how I did my last haul video. It was a December and January. This is kind of a combined February and March haul of just things that I've picked up here and there. Sorry if I sound a little weird, by the way. I've been sick for the last like 3 days and this is the first day that I felt like marginally human, but I still think I sound a little odd. I'm gonna be doing this kind of vaguely in reverse chronological order, starting with the older ones. So back, I believe in like early February or so, I picked up Walk the Earth a Stranger by Rae Carson. This is an author, I have read only one other book of hers, which I can't remember the name of it. I think it was Girl of Fire and Thorns, maybe? And it was a whole trilogy. And I liked her writing, I just wasn't really that sold on the plot of the story, so I didn't end up finishing the series. I didn't actually end up reading past the first book, but I still liked her writing style, so I decided to check out this one because this one is set in like California Gold Rush period, which is a period of time that I don't think has a ton of fiction that's been written about that time period. And it has also got some elements of fantasy to it because the main character is a girl who can like sense gold beneath the earth. And so obviously her talent would be considered very valuable in the California Gold Rush. This is the first in a new trilogy. I haven't read this book yet, so I don't really have any kind of opinions on it. I just thought that the setting sounded cool and I've liked her writing style before. The next one that I picked up was Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabby Rivera. I actually had to order this one because it's not really sold in stores. I think it's from an independent publisher, so it's not that readily available. But I was recommended this book through a friend on Twitter who kept raving about it, and it sounded like a thing that I would definitely be interested in. It is about a lesbian girl in the Bronx, I believe? Yes. And she is Puerto Rican and worried about coming out to her family because they might not react very well, and so she ends up writing to this white feminist living in Oregon and ends up sort of going to Oregon for the summer to learn from her and also just to kind of take a break from her life and her family. And apparently it deals with intersectionality of race and LGBT issues and gender in really good ways, and so I am definitely interested in that. I started it a little bit, I'm only like a few pages in, but it is definitely something that I'm interested in, and the whole intersectionality of those various issues of class and race and gender and orientation and stuff is something that I'm really interested in. The next one that I picked up is a historical fiction. It is called Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. I don't know how to pronounce that, but you can look at how it's spelled there. This is apparently about some kind of shipwreck called the Wilhelm Gustloff. It says that it is inspired by the single greatest tragedy in maritime history, and I have never heard of it. And so like when I read that out loud to the friend that I was in the bookstore with, they thought that I was just talking about the Titanic, and I'm like, no, they're talking about this Wilhelm Gustloff thing, and I've never heard of this. I have absolutely no idea what it is. And I heard about this book through Maggie Stiefvater, who wrote the Raven Cycle trilogy. I follow her on Tumblr, and she was talking about this author and the research that she did to make the time period come alive without making it feel forced and without making it feel like you need to read a history book in order to understand this book. I haven't even started this book, so I have absolutely no idea if I'm gonna like it, but it came with a really high recommendation, so I'm excited to check it out. The next few I picked up at a used bookstore because I was bringing in some of my book collection to sell off, and I brought in like 4 bags of books and only came home with 3 individual books, so I still came out on top. It was a net win, but the 3 that I picked up were The Book Thief by Markus Zusak, I guess. This is one that I have been hearing about and have been told that I should read for like years, I think, and the reason I've been so hesitant to do that is because it is a World War II book, and it is a Nazi Germany book, and I just generally find that books written nowadays about World War II don't really have anything new to say. Like, I find it very rare that anyone writing about World War II these days has any kind of new take on the story, which is a thing that you may have noticed when I was doing my wrap-up on All the Light We Cannot See, which is a book that I read last year for the 50 Book Reading Challenge. It was for a Pulitzer Prize winner. I felt that the book had been written in a way that was very pretty, but had nothing new to say. But I keep hearing about this one and everyone loves it so much that I'm like, okay, fine, you got me. It is about a girl who is living in Nazi Germany and she like steals a book and ends up just like falling in love with books, and she ends up, you know, trying to rescue more of them because I believe there was a whole big book burning thing in Nazi Germany. There was a lot of censorship that was happening. And then according to the synopsis on the back, her family that she lives with ends up harboring, you know, Jewish fugitives from the Nazis, and I guess that's sort of the plot. I don't really know. I was at a book signing a little while ago, maybe a couple months ago, and it was a trio of authors and they were all asked if you could make everyone in the audience read one book, what would you make them read? And one of the authors that I have followed for a little while, Greg Van Eekhout, I've talked about his books a little bit, he recommended The Book Thief. And so that was kind of the moment where I was like, okay, fine, I'll read this book. The next one that I picked up in that same trip was My Heart and Other Black Holes by Jasmine Wanga? I don't know how to say that. And apparently it is about a girl who is obsessed with physics and also wants to commit suicide, and so she ends up finding this other boy and they end up forming this sort of pact that they're gonna do it together, but then possibly they decide that maybe they don't really want to go through with it. I don't know. I've been hearing a lot of things about this. It's fairly popular on the, you know, YouTube book community, and so it's one of those that just keeps getting recommended, and so since I was there and had the credit, I figured I might as well pick it up. And then the last book that I got on this particular trip was called Burn for Burn by Jenny Han and Siobhan Vivian. This is one that I just think might be kind of fun. It's not something that I'm like gonna take super seriously, but I thought it was kind of funny because all the other things that I've read by Jenny Han have had a very different tone than what I think this one is gonna be. Because the other things that I've read by Jenny Han have been like To All the Boys I've Loved Before and The Summer I Turned Pretty, which are like sweet, contemporary, coming-of-age YA things. And this one apparently is about a trio of girls like enacting revenge on people, and I think possibly like someone might end up dying or getting seriously injured or something. So I don't know entirely how this plays out, but I thought that it was kind of funny that it was so different from the other things that I've read by Jenny Han. I don't really know anything about Siobhan Vivian and what she's written, so maybe it's more in line with her stuff, but it's, you know, something that I thought would be a fun, quick read. And then the last book I actually just picked up today because Barnes & Noble keeps tricking me by sending me 20% off coupons. It is Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn Hamilton. This is about a girl living in a small desert town, I believe, who ends up teaming up with a boy to get out of this desert town, and then there's something about, I think they end up joining a rebellion, and there's like monsters that live in the desert. Anyway, it's just been getting a lot of attention recently, and it has a setting that is not, you know, typical for a lot of YA fantasy. I also think that the cover is like super beautiful, so I just thought that it would at least be worth checking out. I believe it's a new author. I also just noticed that it has a blurb by Ray Carson on the back, who is the author of Walk the Earth a Stranger, which is the other book that I just showed you, so apparently this should be right up my alley. So that is actually it for physical books that I got. The only other thing is that Audible had one of its like $5 sales, and there weren't a ton of things that were on sale that I particularly wanted, but the one that I did end up picking up was H is for Hawk by Helen MacDonald. I'm going to be using this for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge this year, and I've had a couple of my friends read it and thought that it was really interesting. It's a memoir about a woman who went into falconry after, I believe, a parent died or something, and that's just something that I don't really know a ton about, but when I was actually in middle school, I was like obsessed with birds of prey. And so the whole premise of that she went into falconry and like learned how to train these animals, just sounded really interesting to me because it's a world that I just don't really know anything about. So that is actually gonna be it for all of the books that I picked up in March and February. Like I said, I haven't really been buying a ton because I've been trying to get through what I already have. But if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned, please let me know down in the comments, and I will see you guys very soon with another video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye! I'm not sure if this... Oh, yeah. First book in a new trilogy.